Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, today's video we will be doing or reacting, reviewing the newest episode of Riverdale that just came out today, March 31st. This was the last episode um before the hiatus. So Riverdale won't be on air for the next 3 months because it's scheduled to come back July 7th. So April, May, June, July. Yeah, so 3 months. About 3 months. 3 months and a week. It will not be on the air. So I will not be posting my usual Riverdale videos on Thursdays. My Riverdale reaction videos on Thursdays. I won't be posting it. And I also won't be doing the promos and posting them on Friday. So I didn't think that they were going to give us a promo for the next coming episodes, but they did. Um, so I have it on my schedule to do it because I didn't know if they were going to give us a promo or not. So I will be doing my Riverdale promo tomorrow. Um, but then next week it won't be no Riverdale videos, so I'll be doing some new stuff. Um, but I think when the show comes back, Vanessa Morgan will come back. She hasn't been in the last 3 episodes, I think. So she'll probably most likely be back in the next couple of episodes. Sorry, there's like ants all over my desk. I mean, not like all over. But, like these ants just like appear out of nowhere, and I don't know where they're coming from. It's really annoying. But so that is the plan. Stan, I hate myself. Anyway, again, I recorded everything down on my phone. So let me read you the synopsis. It's chapter 86, The Pincushion Man, which it's called this, but that is literally only in the very end of the episode. So, parent teacher night. While preparing for the school's parent teacher night, Archie is caught off guard when his former army general shows up in Riverdale. Oh my God, with some unexpected news. Cheryl pushes back after hearing that Hiram and Reggie have expressed interest in taking over the Blossom Maple Groves. Jughead's unconventional way to get through a case of writer's block causes Tabitha to be concerned for his safety. Finally, Betty and Alice receive some unexpected visitors. And I was wondering who they were, and let me tell you, this episode was actually really good. I'm not gonna say it was boring at the beginning, but the ending, like the whole, probably the last 20 minutes, were just all about twists and turns, and old characters came back, characters that you didn't think you would ever see again. So, I am super excited to review this episode. Like, it was amazing. Like, I think it's one of their better episodes for this time jump. Of course, the best episode of the time jump is always going to be the very first episode that the time jump was in, because that felt kind of like a pilot, and the pilot is like always the best. But it felt very much like a pilot. But this, it kind of goes back to the roots, and it's weird because these characters, like, it hasn't been that long since we saw them, because it's only the show's 5th year, and some of them we saw last season, but it's been 7 years since the characters have seen them. So this episode, very good. Now Alice, I have a whole bunch to say about Alice, but let's start. Now, usually when I do these videos, I kind of do them uh by like plot through the story, but maybe I'll try doing it kind of like character based. I don't know. But anyway, so the episode starts with Tabitha and Jughead are working, and then this song comes on, and it was a song that I knew, but I can't remember what the name of the song was. It was a weird name, but anyway, it was an old song. And Jughead's like, "This is my favorite," and Tabitha's like, "It's only on my, like, it's not," blah blah blah. But they start dancing and then they kiss, but then Jughead pulls away because I say he's still in love with Betty, and she's sort of single. Um, so Betty and Glenn, it then jumps to Betty and Glenn, and she's dressed, but he's in a robe. So did they like spend the night together? Like, what's going on? Because we do know that she was in a relationship with Glenn, but that when she came back to Riverdale, she started a sexual relationship with Archie. So it's very unclear as to what's going on with their relationship. So Betty says so they're going to meet at the FBI offices, and says that she invited Jughead to come help because he's kind of been helping with the investigation. And then Jughead kind of gives us this look, and he's like, "This is now being handled by the FBI, so no Jughead." And I'm thinking they helped Charles when they were in high school. Now Charles was a serial killer, but still, he didn't start killing until his brother was killed. Anyway, I bet I bet Charles has read Jughead's book into it, but he knows, even if he didn't read Jughead's book, that he knows that Betty and Jughead were together. Because we don't actually know what the Outcast was about. I kind of want to think that it's kind of very similar to the book that Lucas wrote in One Tree Hill, and the book Lucas wrote was basically about his life in Tree Hill and about his high school and his friends. So he wrote about his relationship with Peyton, and then he wrote a sequel while he was engaged to Lindsay called The Comet, which was about Peyton. Lindsay thought it was about her, but it was actually about Peyton because Peyton's car was called The Comet. So I kind of thought that Jughead's book would be about that. But so he kind of seems jealous. And I wrote something. I said Glenn thinks bodies belong how, but I don't know why it autocorrected and it said Bonvine or something. So Glenn thinks that that some of the bodies that they have found belong to Hal because a lot of them date back to when Hal Cooper was a serial killer. And I'm thinking he only killed people who committed sins or sins because some of them weren't really bad sins, like Fred being an adulterer. Both of them were separated, and he targeted Fred, but not Hermione. So then we see Veronica, and she's talking to Chad, and apparently he will not sign the divorce papers. So it doesn't seem to be a very amicable split. My bangs are doing something so weird. Like, I got my bangs trimmed, and they always miss pieces. So like, I have these like, oh, it's not good. Not good. My hair looks good though. My hair looks good. I like my hair. Anyway, I'm getting so off topic. So then we have Cheryl and Minerva. And Cheryl's going to the Maple Groves to collect the syrup, and there's nothing in the buckets. And so she goes back to Nana Rose, and Nana Rose is like, well, that's because of the curse. Because Cheryl can't be happy, and because Cheryl's happy, the curse is upon us. Because we realize that Nana's crazy. Uh, so Reggie has crawled back to Hiram, and he apologized for standing with Riverdale at the football game. Oh, Reggie. So apparently Hiram needs the Groves to find something. I couldn't really understand what they were finding. He tried looking at the prison, and there wasn't any or something. So Archie CO comes back, which I believe stands for commanding officer. So his commanding officer comes to Riverdale to tell him that he has nominated Archie for the Silver Eagle. But Archie doesn't understand why, because he lost 20 men. But then the CO's like, yeah, but you saved Eric's life, which is the guy that lost the leg. And Archie says that he can't accept it. He doesn't feel like he earned it. Archie is a swell guy. But his CO orders him to accept it. I don't like this guy. seems creepy, and he's played by someone who reminds me. He reminds me of Tucker from SVU. That's what the guy looks like, and I didn't like Tucker. But so Betty and Glenn are listening to the tapes um, of Hal from when he was in the insane asylum. But I think he didn't go to prison. He went to an insane asylum or something. And this scene, I wish they would have gone more in depth, and they probably will next the next couple episodes. It was actually an interesting scene, but one of the tapes that Betty is listening to, we learn that to after Alice wouldn't, have sex with Hal, and he was lonely, he used a website called Ned's List to find women to sleep with. And Betty reminds Glenn that that is how the women working the lonely highway found truckers. But so it looks like Veronica's boutique has opened. So I guess it's been a couple of months. It the timing of the timeline of the show is really weird because Veronica says that a couple of years ago she was in the helicopter crash, which I'll get into that in a second. But she says a couple of years ago, but she mentions that she was married to Chad. But they just celebrated their 1 year anniversary in the first episode of the time jump. So it's very confusing. But her jewelry store is called La Petite Boutique. So the little boutique, the little shop. Super cute. So apparently, so Smithers delivers package to Veronica, and Chad has sent Veronica pictures of her kissing Archie. Now, who does that remind us of? Hiram. Hiram totally used to send pictures of Hermione, especially when she was kissing Fred. I believe he took pictures, sent them to her, blackmailed Fred or something. But yeah, so Chad sends Veronica pictures. I don't know how he got the pictures. Don't know who took them. But yeah. So apparently it's the twins' birthday. Interesting. So apparently there was an accident at school. We'll get to that in a second. So Jughead's actually talking to Tabitha about why he pulled away from the kiss and why they really can't date. So this is the part that. So I'll mention this in a second. But after he talks about his high school relationship with Betty, he mentions that his relationship with Jess was very toxic. She was a writer, and they both experimented with drugs and alcohol, and um, that they would break up, get back together, and it was just very toxic. But here's what he mentions about his relationship with Betty. He says that he dated Betty. He mentions Betty by name. He says that he dated Betty, and the breakup was a terrible breakup in high school. A couple things wrong with that. The first thing wrong with that was they were not in high school. They broke up the summer after high school. Yeah, because they broke up like they graduated in June. I would say they probably broke up in around July. So that was the first thing that was wrong. Technically, you weren't in high school anymore. And the second thing, it wasn't a terrible breakup. You don't want to sleep with her after she revealed it. She kissed Archie. Um, and you know, they slept together after she revealed that she kissed Archie, and then they said they would talk about it, and then they just never did. And says it was very amicable. They both decided to focus on schools. I wouldn't say it was a terrible breakup. It was an awful breakup, but that's what really happened. So Jughead and Tabitha agree to just be friends. So Jughead's like, well, as a friend, I need your help. So he mentions that when he wrote The Outcasts, he was high on maple mushrooms, and he ended up, when he was high on them, he ended up writing 500 pages of that book. I really want to know what that book's about. But so he says that he needs to do drugs again so he can write this book because he's been offered this opportunity to write part of the book and it be featured in like a magazine or something. But Tabitha says that she can't help him with that. So yeah. What I was wondering, whatever happened to the Jason Blossom book? yeah, whatever happened to that? So we learn more about Veronica's plane crash, tells Archie. So she has to go home to deal with Chad, and Archie's like, why? And she's like, because she feels guilty, and this is why. So before they had their helicopter crash, they had a huge fight. They were both super drunk, and she wished him dead. And they got into the helicopter, and it crashed. Now Archie says something which I should have written down because at the end of the episode, Veronica asks Chad something, um, but I didn't write it down, so I don't know what Archie actually says. But she stayed with Chad out of guilt, so she decides to fly back to New York. So we find out what happened with the twins. Apparently, they pushed a classmate down the stairs. Um, and this is actually we only hear Dagwood talk. We don't hear Jennifer. But Dagwood says that the kid that they pushed down the stairs said that their mom was dead. Don't know how the kid would know that, but whatever. So yeah, and Betty and Alice are telling the twins that you can't push people down the stairs, like you could have been seriously hurt, and they're just looking at them like this. Like dead stares. Like there I wrote down before they even mentioned the episode, they Betty does mention it in a second, that they are sociopaths. Honestly. I mean, their dad was murdered before they were born. Their mom was in the Sisters of Car Mercy. Then she joined the farm. Then she lost custody of them. Don't know how she gained custody back. Don't know why Cheryl gave up the twins. It was all very confusing. And now their mom's missing. And I kind of hope their mom said Betty really needs to get custody of these twins. Because Betty is the most stable, I would say, out of the family. I mean, has her moments of her moments of stability, but compared to Alice uh, and Polly, Betty would probably be the best. But so Reggie visited Nana Rose and flirted with her, and she ended up selling him the Groves and told Cheryl that now the curse is lifted. Cheryl's like, there is no such a thing as a curse. So Cheryl's angry and rips up the contract. So Jughead ends up ordering the drugs, and Archie gets a phone call, um, and it's somebody writing a expose on his CO, and they say that they think that his CO sent Archie on a dirty mission. So Betty and Glenn are now on a date. I don't actually know what it was. Like, are they still dating? It's very unclear. But she mentions that the twins are bad seeds. I also wrote down what happened to the cat. Where is Toffee? Because Glenn was supposed to be watching this cat, and then now he's in Riverdale. Where's the cat? So, so apparently Glenn is writing a dissertation, and it's called "The Family of Darkness: Varying Displays of the Serial Killer Gene in the Cooper Family Tree," and it's basically on nature versus nurture, and it's about Betty and Charles, and how Betty has the serial killer gene, but she's not a serial killer, but Charles is. Even though, how does he have the serial killer gene if Alice doesn't, and FP probably doesn't? And Hal didn't have the gene, but he was a murderer too. So Betty says she quits, but Glenn says no. And he seems really creepy, so Betty slaps him. He says, yes. He says something, Betty slaps him. Did they break up? I put a question mark. Who knows? So Archie goes to visit someone in prison. Frank visits Frank. His uncle Frank is back and still in prison. So, but we got to see Frank, which I like. This was just an episode of a whole bunch of people just coming back. So he tells him about his commanding officer, and Fred tells him what to do, and blah blah blah. I don't actually remember, I didn't write that down, but he says that something's brewing, which I didn't actually take to mean anything um when I wrote it, but now knowing what happens in the episode. But yeah, so he says something's brewing. So Cheryl goes to visit Hiram and Reggie, and she says that the contract is invalid because she had Nana Rose declared logically and senile 10 years ago. So she says that the Groves is still hers. So Hiram works with Reggie to fix it. So then Jess is back. Apparently she is the drug runner. Cause I don't know. She's the drug runner. So she wants to do some mushrooms with Jughead, and then Tabitha comes out and says that she's his new girlfriend, so that Jess will leave because he told her that she was toxic. So Tabitha says that she will only agree for him to do it once. Um, so Veronica arrives in New York, and Chad has made her this romantic dinner, even though she said that she wanted to go out, but he made her a romantic dinner and was trying to get her to stay. So anyway, Jughead ends up in the bunker. The bunker is still thriving, and he does the mushrooms there. And Tabitha doesn't end up staying. She will just check off on him. So it turns out that Chad and Veronica have their first date in London. There's a lot wrong with that. When did Veronica go to London? When did Chad go to London? And why would they, because they both seem to just be from New York, why would they go to London just for a date? So Veronica and Chad are dancing because he's trying to get her to stay, and I first thought that he drugged her alcohol to, like, you know, force her to stay, but he didn't. So Veronica asked Chad if he crashed the helicopter on purpose. I think he did. Because he wanted her to stay, and he says that he signed the divorce papers. I didn't think he did it, and it's revealed that he actually didn't, but we'll get to that. So they end up kissing, which is she. I hope she tells Archie. Now Archie can't really be mad at her because technically she is married to Chad, and technically being with Archie is cheating on Chad. But so this is where the episode got juicy. So Hiram's counting down, and then we hear a boom, and I thought that he set a bomb somewhere. He blew up his prison, or part of his prison, side of his prison. I wonder if Reggie knew. Do you really think Reggie would keep that? Like, this is criminal for Hiram. So, but he blew up the prison, so the prisoners escape. And I couldn't see all the ones who were escaping. We probably could have seen other familiar faces, but one of the familiar faces we do see was Penelope Blossom. So she was still in prison. So I guess she didn't get out. I kind of hoped they had, but she was one of the prisoners that um probably wasn't dangerous to be out and about. Like, so Reggie then sets fire to the groves. And apparently he's still driving the same car, but so the twins are celebrating their birthday, and Juniper goes to answer the door, and she comes back holding hands with this guy that she just met. It's none other than Uncle Charles. Ah, I wanted to say that because technically he is her uncle. Yeah, he is her uncle. So Charles is back, and Chick is with him, and Hart Denton is rocking this long, wavy hair, and it suits him. Like, the thing is, Hart Denton is super attractive. Like, not gonna lie. I don't like him as Chick though. I don't find Chick attractive. Charles though is attractive. But yeah, so they're both back, and it's like weird because, like, we literally just saw Charles and Chick last season, but Betty hasn't seen them for 7 years. So, you know. So apparently it turns out that Charles and Chick were at Hiram's prison. Oh, weird. But apparently Alice has been visiting Charles' prison. I guess she couldn't get over the fact that her son was a serial killer. See, Alice started out being this crazy woman, not letting Betty do anything. Then, the point where she was dating FP, she kind of toned down after the farm, of course. But now she's just gone back thinking, being distraught that her daughter was missing and not believing that her daughter was a hooker and all the. So apparently Alice got ordained because she was going to marry Charles and Chick in prison. Whatever. So there was also a prison break going on in the school, and we will get that to the reason behind that in a minute. And some of the people that Archie, because Archie and Kevin are giving a tour, and some of the people that attack Archie, I think are people that he put in jail. Like are like the brothers of Dodger, Dodger, yeah, I think so. So Chick and Charles get married, and right after they're married, Glenn shows up at the door with flowers, though, and that was really sweet. But so apparently, Glenn actually graduated from the academy with Charles. They were rivals. So I wonder if when Charles met Betty, he knew that. I mean, when Glenn met Betty, if he knew that Charles was her brother and dated her because of that. So who knows? So Frank actually ends up getting into the school, and he's a good guy. We know he's a good guy because the bad things that he did he was forced to. He was a missionary. Um, so he tells Archie that Hiram paid the inmates to attack the school. So Hiram was the one behind the prison break. This prison break also reminds me of Criminal Minds, that season when all the prisoners escaped. So Charles and Chick decide that they're gonna play a little game. It's called the Pincushion Man, and the youngest family member goes first, and they take a pin and they stick it into the Pincushion Man, and the Pincushion Man is Glenn, and Juniper is the youngest by 3 minutes. So apparently the twins turned 9 in in this episode, so they're having their ninth birthday. Um, so that means that it has to be around December because we know that they were born around December. So it's been a couple of months after the homecoming. So the pin is a giant butcher knife. Knife. It's just a giant knife. And Betty says that they can't let Juniper and Dagwood do this. So Charles says that she has to do it. So she stabs Glenn and she says something to make it look realistic. And then she pulls the knife out real fast and throws it at Chick. We don't know if he's dead. They don't actually reveal that. And then Alice tackles Charles with the gun, and the gun goes off, and Charles gets shot, and Alice is distraught. I don't know why she it was one thing when he was killing the preppies who made Jughead's life and Betty's life miserable, but it's another to hold your family hostage. So then we go back to Jughead, and he is super high. Tabitha arrives. Also, Jughead's no longer wearing his shirt at this point. And he has tattoos now. He has a whole bunch of tattoos. So that was pretty interesting. So Tabitha ends up handcuffing him to the desk so he can actually do some work. And first he hallucinates Jess, and then he hallucinates Betty. But it's Betty in high school before their lives fell apart. It's Betty and him in high school. Betty in high school because she has her ponytail, and she's wearing her overalls, and actually an outfit that I've seen her wear before. So he's hallucinating that, and he ends up kissing Betty. So when Penny escapes, she actually ends up going to Thornhill. And she tells Cheryl that the groves are in flames. And Nana Rose says that they have to sacrifice the interloper. So Minerva's like, hell no, and she runs away. Cheryl ends up running after her though, but Penny says that they have to pray away the flames. So then we go back to New York, and it looks like that Chad and Veronica slept together. I mean, he's in bed, but she's dressed. And apparently Chad lied about signing the divorce papers. Now, here's where my hatred for him gets even worse, and where he is Hiram. He is such um a Hiram. Chad apparently made some bad investments, and then he put a name on the documents to try to get them out of the hole. So basically, I don't actually know what embezzlement means, but basically, Chad embezzled money from Veronica's business. He embezzled from his own wife. Um, and Veronica tells him that he better sign the papers because she no longer wants to be married to him. And so the whole uh kissing and everything, he was doing all that just so she wouldn't divorce him. But he said, then he starts to blackmail her and he says, well, if we're divorced, I can testify against you, and who are they gonna believe? So I really hope she gets out of it. Like, this would be a perfect time for Mary to come back. Be Veronica's lawyer. So Archie then stands up to his commanding officer and tells him he will not be accepting the Silver Eagle, and that this was a cover up, and he will say something about it, but the CO tells him that he will make him the scapegoat. So Tabitha comes. Wait, I'm not there yet. So Jughead wakes up from his hallucinations or something, and he's unhooked from the table. I don't know if that was real, but so Frank is going to end up laying low at the Andrews' house, and that Mary is going to help try to get him released because he helped them figure out what Hiram was doing, and I really hope Hiram's arrested for what he did. I really hope he's arrested. He needs to be. He could still be a part of the story and be in jail. Archie was. Um, Maybe this will bring Mary back because we don't know what happened to her, or Vegas. Vegas is no more. So Veronica calls Archie and tells him she's going to be staying in New York City. And, Archie knows what she means with that she's getting back together with Chad. And she says she's sorry, but she'll be back in a couple of days. And I hope she explains to him what's going on. So Thornhill didn't burn, but the Groves did, and Reggie hopes that will make Cheryl sell them. It also turns out that Riverdale High School needs to be fixed, so it's going to be uninhabitable for a couple weeks, and maybe it won't even open again. But I believe that the students' power for wanting Riverdale High to reopen is going to help, and they're all going to come back and help rebuild it. So it turns out Glenn's okay because Betty knew what she was doing. She only wanted to give him a non-fatal wound, which she did. Charles is in the ICU in Shangshaw, but he's probably going to be okay. But the Glenn is going to reload, or the FBI, I don't think Glenn was all about it, but the FBI is planning to relocate the Lonely Highway case upstate to their offices. What they don't mention is, where's Chick? Did Chick die from the knife? I mean, I don't think it hit his heart, but I mean, he could have bled out. Chick's finally dead. So Betty tells her mom that she's gonna get justice. So then we see her undercover driving a truck. So she's going undercover as a trucker. And then Tabitha comes down to the bunker and she finds blood all over the place. And there is blood covered in the handcuff, like Jughead had pulled his hand out. I thought it was going to just show his hand. I'm glad that they didn't do that, make him handless. But it's just covered. Like, he's probably going to have a big wound there, and he's currently missing. So that's how the episode ended. So I bet the next episode might jump forward a little bit in time. But yeah, so I will be doing a reaction to the promo tomorrow. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think it was a really good episode. I really did like that they brought back all of the people that had been in jail before. Probably a lot of the other inmates had been in the show before. They were so irrelevant that, I just kind of forgot about. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!